17 things that I learned in US schools that just don't hold up outside of America. Number one, that lunch was something you rushed through. Basically, we're taught that lunch is about fuel, not rest. I think that might have attributed to why I constantly eat meals at my desk while I'm working, even now when I'm working from home. Number two, that memorizing facts matters so much more than actually understanding them. That tests are much more important than cognitive thinking or any kind of real critical thought in general. Number three, that learning was competitive by default. Someone has to lose in order for you to be successful. Like, you have to constantly be in competition to get an A. I remember one time when I was in elementary school, can't remember what grade it is, but elementary school only went up to sixth grade at that time. And I remember the teacher specifically saying, whoever gets the best grade on this test will get X prize, whatever it was. And I remember feeling a lot of pressure to be that person that won that prize. Now, looking back on it as an adult, why are we having kids compete for learning? That doesn't make any sense. Number four, that failure meant you're not smart. Basically, in the US thought process, there's little room for actual process or second chances. If you don't get it on the first try, then there might be something wrong with you, which of course is not what we tell kids outside of the school setting. But for some reason, if you fail, then there's something inherently wrong with you. That basic indoctrination of lifestyle of America that's instilled in you at a very early age. Number five, that school spirit mattered more than student well-being. Basically, they prioritize pep rallies over mental health. Here in the UK, they don't even have pep rallies. I mean, I guess they probably know what they are because of the cross culture so much, but yeah, they actually took time out of the school day, the learning day, to do like raw, we have big games coming up this weekend kind of school spirit stuff. That does not happen here in the UK, as far as I could tell anyway. Number six, that arts, trades, and creativity are backup plans. Basically, the way the school system is structured in America, most school systems that I am privy to anyway, you have your academic learning throughout your day, your 7 or 8 periods of learning throughout the day. And anything after that is extracurricular. That includes sports, arts, music, anything creative, basically. Real success is very specific in America. It is very, very concentrated on reading, writing, arithmetic, sciences, all the stuff that actually are the big money makers and stuff that need the drones and the factory workers. Nothing that really stimulates creativity until after school hours. Number seven, that talking about success was so normal, but talking about feelings wasn't. Basically, any achievement that you have is public and community news, but anything emotional was private. So you can be rewarded for getting an A or being the best at something in the classroom, and everyone in the classroom will know about it. But if you have an emotional issue or you have something that you need to kind of work through, you have to go to a private office, a counselor's office, even if you don't really mind everyone else knowing about it. That has to be done privately. Only celebrations of achievement are done in public. Number eight, that standing for the Pledge of Allegiance is normal. This is something that I often forget is not normal when I'm here in the UK talking about education. And I even forgot to mention it in my last couple of videos because it's just so ingrained in me. I've been doing it since kindergarten. I don't know any differently. It's very strange to me that people don't do it. Now looking back on it, it's a complete indoctrination. I can't argue with it at all. Number nine, that questioning the flag was disrespectful. You can have critical thinking in very specific instances and with limits. And that is something that stays with you into adulthood from your US education. Number 10, that the United States is the freest country on earth. Freedom is always stated, but never actual apples to apples comparisons to the outside world. That should have been a sign. Number 11, that capitalism wasn't a system, it was just a reality. Like there's no alternatives. Or if there were alternatives like communism or fascism, all bad. No gray area, no positives of this system, negatives of that system, and no real discussion around any of that. It was the capitalist society that America has is that's it. That's the way life should be, period. Number 12, that American history was the center of world history and continues to be. Like everything else that happened all the way up to the United States of America being formed and recognized by the rest of the world doesn't matter. It just falls away like background noise. Number 13, that Christopher Columbus was a heroic explorer. I have to admit, I used to celebrate this. I was taught that he is a hero amongst Americans. And let's be fair, really not. Once you get the entire picture, not so heroic and definitely not somebody that should be revered, in my opinion. Number 14, that slavery was largely a Southern state problem. Somehow the North stayed completely morally clean and we didn't have any slaves. And when we did, we took really good care of them as if they were our equals. Come on, there's no way that that's true. Number 15, that the Civil War was mainly about states' rights. Oh my gosh, this is an argument still used today to justify all kinds of things that happen within the state's borders that might not be very cohesive with federal law or national opinion at the very least. And it's kind of a cringy reality of America. Number 16, we're taught in the United States schools that the American Revolution was pretty simply a good guy versus bad guy story. Not a whole lot of nuance and no wider context really included. Any context that is included really supports that story for the most part. Of course, as an adult, you recognize that that's not the case. Nothing is ever that black and white in history, in the world, even in present day. And of course, being in the UK culture now and married to a British person, I was very much aware of the fact that that wasn't necessarily the case. But I will have to say it does fit very, very well into the America is the greatest country on earth kind of overall theme that American education has throughout all of its lessons. Number 17, that we won World War II basically on our own. Global effort was there, but very lightly mentioned and only to support American troops. This is utterly embarrassing when I think about it now, especially when you consider just about every other country in the world was involved in one way or another well before America got involved. And it wasn't necessarily that America won the war. It's just that it's just that there was an influx of resources and men and big support that came into the war at that time, at the time when the tide was turning for the war anyway. What can I say? American exceptionalism at its best. None of this makes the education that I had in the United States necessarily bad, but it does explain why leaving the bubble and seeing the world outside of the United States of America feels so disorienting even now in my midlife.